time the Cardinals and Brewers hooked up in St. Louis, the year was 1982. This footage from County Stadium in Milwaukee and the catch from Willie McGee. The Cardinals return home for the first time since Mark McGwire hit home run number 400 Friday night in New York. Scrap iron manager Phil Garner has his Milwaukee Brewers flying high in the NL Central, coming in 2 games in front of the Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste, it won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light. By Southwestern Bell, go wireless with someone you know. By Pizza Hut, home of the new Sicilian pizza. Can you handle it? By your local Chrysler and Plymouth dealer, exclusive automotive dealer of the Cardinals on Fox Sports Midwest. And by Southwest Airlines, with fares so low you have the freedom to go places. Fly Southwest, the official airline of the Cardinals. We're happy to have you with us on Fox Sports Midwest as we get ready for the first of 2 against Milwaukee. Cardinals ready for home cooking.
Well, I think you look at a pitcher maybe from the American League and feel that he might do better in the National League because of a different strike zone. You know, it depends on the pitcher, but also I think you look at the fact that they had to face more batters, and theoretically it's tougher to pitch in the American League because they do face more hitters in the lineup. So you attribute at least 1 run a game more to a pitcher's ERA in the American League. So and I think putting your club together, it's a lot different in the American League than it is in the National League. When you know, in the American League you're focusing probably more on offense than you do in the National League because of the DH and so forth. So I think that's the major differences.
I think most of what happens out there is the same. I mean, it's just a baseball game, and games are different. Sometimes a run's important. Sometimes you can score runs in clusters. But the biggest difference is the pitcher in the lineup instead of the DH. I mean, it does mean that the DH offers more opportunity for offense, and the pitcher, when he's involved, it's usually a run or 2 that you can get that inning.
Well, for us, the differences include different stadiums. We have to relearn all the stadiums and a lot of personnel. But basically, from a managerial standpoint, there's another level that you have to consider, and that is when you're going to take the pitcher out, you got to know where your changes are. You got to know where we are in the lineup. And you didn't have to consider that in the American League. You waited until you thought your pitcher was 1 pitch away from making that 3-run homer, and you'd get him out of there, and you didn't have to worry about pinch hitting or necessarily have to worry about pinch hitting because you were down in the game. So that's a new dimension in it. It's probably a little more fun for our position players. You get to be a little more involved at different points in the game.
What's the difference between National and American League? There's really no difference. They're all human beings on the mound. It doesn't matter if they have a label of National or American League. You have to make adjustments every day no matter what. I was making adjustments every day in the American League. And so as soon as I come over and simplified it and said, listen, I got to do the same thing I was doing in the American League here in the National League. And it's worked out. I mean, they throw the same pitches, and there's the same strike zone. Might be a little bit different, but you have to see it and hit it, and you have to visualize how they're going to throw it.
For one of the most exciting parts of the night, the Cardinals have taken the field. There are fireworks behind us, and we say hello. Joe Buck along with Al Roboski getting ready for the first of an 8-game homestand, and a homestand out where the Cardinals got to click it into gear. 1-7 on the road ain't going to do much.
Well, they've been winning majority of their games here at home, and we got to start continuing to do so. Really put ourselves under the 8 ball the way they played on the road, but it's early. Every team's going to experience losing streaks. That's hopefully our last one is through with.
Yeah, a 1-7 road trip, and the Cardinals come home taking on the Brewers, a team we've talked about really since the season began. They're in the National League, and part of our Chrysler and Plymouth matchup, Scott Carl, the left-hander, the work he's done on the road, 2-0, undefeated overall on the year against Todd Stottlemyre, who was the opening day starter here at Busch Stadium, and he has been outstanding with an ERA of about $1.50 here at Busch Stadium. Give you a look at Phil Garner's batting lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. And here's how they stack up. Fernando Vina will lead off at second base. Mark Loretta bats second at third base. He's working on a 9-game hitting streak. Then Jeremy Burnitz is in right field with Marquise Grissom back. He's been slowed by a Well, a pulled muscle in the buttocks, folks. We had to get it out early. Jenkins is in left field. Jeff is a rookie. Valentine at short. Mike Matheny is doing the catching with Bob Hamlin at first base. There are the numbers against right-handed pitching, and Scott Carl pitching and batting ninth. And Al Raboski there is, by a long stretch, the Cardinals ace, Todd Stottlemyre.
Yeah, it's Stottlemyre and what else, but really 3-3, and he's on a 3-game losing streak, but he's pitched extremely well, particularly that last time out in Pittsburgh where he only allowed 1 run, and that was on the inside of the park home run and a ball that should have been caught. But Todd, the emotional leader of this pitching staff, and they really need to look to his leadership tonight to get this homestand started in the winning ways.
Todd Stottlemyre will work in front of this defense, which Tony La Russa stacks behind him. No surprises, except really Tom Pagnozzi doing the catching. He was supposed to start one of the games. In fact, the Saturday game in New York, that game was rained out. And here he is making the start, catching Stottlemyre as these two try to figure out a way to beat Milwaukee. Comes in with a record of 19-15. The Cardinals at 500 at 17-17. Mark Hirschbeck is the home plate umpire with Fremming at first. Eric Gregg at second and Larry Vanover over at third. Cardinal infield defense in on the corners. Glad you're with us on Fox Sports Midwest. And Vigna pops it up. That's what you want him to do. Pop it up into left. Gant is there and puts it away. 1 pitch, 1 out. So with 1 away, we'll remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the expressed written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Stottlemyre will work to Mark Loretta, who has been hot. His average at 274, but as we mentioned, working on that 9-game hitting streak.
Getting a chance to play and place a Cirillo tonight.
And taking a strike from Stott.
And Jeff Cirillo, their very fine third baseman, out with the flu, but Mark Loretta, who can play on both corners. Yeah, nice to plug in a solid guy with another guy that's hitting well.
Nothing but strikes from Stottlemyre, and it's 0-2 on Loretta.
You know, Joe, Stottlemyre amongst the league leaders in strikeouts, but I don't think he's so preoccupied by getting strikeouts anymore.
With the bases empty, Loretta looks at a ball. 78 degrees. I know you weren't in New York, Al, but it's like being in a different world coming back to St. Louis. It was just dreadful in New York with that weather, and this weather here in St. Louis about as good as you'll find on this date.
It's called sun. And
that's
the
the difference.
Yankees got rained out tonight also.
Here's a test for Clayton. Going to have to hurry. He does. 2 gone. A little slow roller, and Royce had to get it and get rid of it. Made the play, and Stottlemyre 2 up, 2 down.
You know, Joe, I think it is significant that Cardinals bypassed a couple of the guys that were rained out, the starters rained out, to bring their ace out here. You know, oftentimes you don't want to do that, but the way the starting rotation is, every time you get Stottlemyre and Osborne out there, you're going to do so.
Here's Burnitz, one of their power guys, takes a strike. Make absolutely no mistake about it. Those rainouts came at a perfect time for the Cardinals. Yeah, you do have to play back-to-back doubleheaders in August. But so what? The ball club was struggling. As Stottlemyre gets out in front 0-2, they couldn't wait to get home. They were facing tough pitching in New York. It was not the worst thing that those games were rained out.
Yeah, I think you brought up the biggest point about Tony La Russa. You know, he just didn't like those pitching matchups either.
Base is empty with 2 down, and a pretty good pitch from Stottlemyre, 1-2. You know, you faced Al Leiter one game, and they moved Bobby Jones up to pitch the other game. The way the Cardinal rotation has been going, they're struggling to find consistent efforts night in and night out. 2-2 from the one guy who has been consistent all year, Todd Stottlemyre, on Jeremy Burnitz.
Nobody has to tell Stottlemyre what his job role is tonight.
That's to first and past McGwire down the line. Off the billboard, and that's an easy double for Burnitz. So it isn't a perfect first inning for Todd Stottlemyre as Burnitz gets a double down the right field line. And if that big body can't lay out and knock it down, there's nobody that can lay out and knock it down.
It's to his glove side, and Mark well off the line, dives for it. It's down the corner and right off our Southwest Airlines sign. After it gets by Big Mark, So McGwire had to play it conservatively, but it had double written all over it.
Here's a guy that's vital to the Brewers' success this year. Marquise Grissom, first year with Milwaukee. And he takes a strike, and we can already see that Mark Hirschbeck is not afraid to call strikes here tonight.
Maybe he thinks there's a forecast for rain. But, you know, I mean, he sets the tempo. He sets the direction of the ball game by his early strike zone.
Here's the 0-1 to Grissom. Strike two. And Stottlemyre's moving it in and out. We mentioned that Grissom's been slowed by a strained muscle in the buttocks area. Can never say that word without thinking of Forrest Gump.
You sound like you can't say it enough tonight.
I can't. Well, you never know. We'll see how the night unfolds, Al. The 0-2 to Grissom, 1-2. That's just one example. Brewers leading hitter with runners in scoring position. He has a chance here in the first inning. So why this guy is valuable to Milwaukee. Nicely played by Pagnozzi, 2-2.
Well, Joe, you and I and all the National League fans know how valuable Grissom is. We all know how important it is to get Bags back in there, but I think Milwaukee is just starting to find out what a real complete ball player Grissom is and how inspirational and how much value he has in their clubhouse.
2-2. Got it. So Stottlemyre gets around the two-out double. Folks here in St. Louis happy to have their ball club back. Here to root on the Cardinals, hoping for a Central Division win over the Brewers. Bottom of the first, no score. Here in the first game of an 8-game homestand, as the Cardinals come to bat, we give you a look at the Southwest Airlines starting lineup for Tony La Russa. Cardinals with a record of 17-17 and coming home to try to figure out how to beat the Milwaukee Brewers. Royce Clayton again in that leadoff spot. Ray Lankford is batting second. There's been a shuffling of the lineup for Tony La Russa with McGwire hitting third. Jordan is now the cleanup man. Gaetti is batting in the 5th position with Gant in left, Pagnozzi catching, DeShields hitting 8th, and he's got great numbers, especially against left-handed pitching, and Stottlemyre pitching and batting 9th here, Scott Carl.
Well, Scott Carl, his numbers and his record is 4-0, but equally impressive is all 7 of his starts, the Milwaukee Brewers have won. This is a pretty good little crafty left-hander. I talked to some of our American League or former American League guys, and they say he's a good pitcher.
Here are the guys behind him with an outfield of Jenkins, Grissom, and Burnitz. Loretta, Valentin, Vigna, and Hamlin around the infield, and a new St. Louisan, Mike Matheny, doing the catching, and there's Scott Carl in the numbers. Very good for the left-hander for Phil Garner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Say you really cut the fastball in on right-handers, keep them honest, get them out with a changeup away, throws a sinking fastball, a lot of ground balls.
To the outside corner for strike 2.
I think Hirschbeck's got a nice strike zone for the pitchers tonight, Joe.
And he's been calling it from the first pitch.
Yeah.
And I think everybody enjoys that. The 1-2 is grounded to Jose Valentin. Valentin takes care of his counterpart Clayton, and now Ray Lankford walks in. And Tony La Russa has already indicated that not only against the left-hander Al, but tomorrow against the right-hander Wagner, Lankford will stay in this number 2 spot, obviously in an effort to get him going.
Yeah, get him going, and still, you maybe get a few more pitches in the strike zone, but I think it's just a matter of time for Ray, not time to panic at all.
Strike to Ray, whose average is still over 300, but it took a big tumble on that 1-7 road trip. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Joe, one of the things that's a little bit concerning to me, because Ray does have some weaknesses as a hitter, and pitchers really have not been exploiting those weaknesses when they've been getting him out.
Now Ray's in the hole, 1-2.
And if Ray sees a few more curveballs like that, I think he's going to have a good evening.
We've talked many times, he's a good low ball hitter. And even on some of those pitches down, he hasn't been driving the ball. That's slicing away from the left fielder. Jenkins can't get there, and should be at least a double for Lankford. So far so good with Ray hitting in that number 2 spot.
one of the easiest ways to get out of a slump is to hit the ball the opposite field. There's an example of the low ball. Left-hand hitter goes down, gets the ball, going to come off his bat, sliding away from the left fielder. He gets down to the wall and a double. This is the one thing that, you know, sometimes people have said, why don't you put Ray Lankford in the 2 spot because he's an extra base hitter? Well, by doing that, you do create that vacancy at first base. So all the more importance to have somebody hitting well behind Mark.
Which the Cardinals do in Brian Jordan, one of their hottest hitters, hitting at .340, batting cleanup. Behind McGwire is number 1 in the league with 40 home runs, number 2 in the league with 13 home runs, the 40 of the RBIs. There's Jordan waiting next, but right now all eyes on McGwire. A strike from Carl.
Now the shift we have here, Joe, that man right behind Lankford out at second is the second baseman.
The 1-1. As we mentioned in our tease, this is McGwire's first time back to St. Louis since hitting that historic home run number 400. Fastest man to do it with regard to at-bats in the history of baseball. He got that back in New York.
Mark said he's 4 for 12 against Scott Carl. A lot of cutters in on it.
3-1 now with Jordan next. And you know that McGwire will be looking for a pitch to hammer. If he doesn't get it, he may take his 41st walk of the season. Just down and in. Pretty good pitch. The crowd doesn't like it, but he's not going to lay it in there on 3-1. And McGwire does walk for the 41st time this season.
First walk allowed by Carl, but as you said, pretty good pitch right there. And I was a little surprised that Hirschbeck didn't call it.
So now 2 on, 1 out for Jordan. Brian has really been driving the ball well, hitting .340. He's driven in those 17 runs, and he's been gap to gap and muscling up, having hit 5 home runs so far this season. 2 on, 1 out. First inning, no score. Mention how hot Brian Jordan has been. He was one of the few Cardinals that had an above average, really a good road trip. Last 10 days, over 6 games, he's over .420. That won't help it. A little floater into right as Burnitz gives way to the second baseman Vigna for the second out. It's going to be up to Gaetti. Gaetti with a 2-out chance after this flyout by Jordan.
Burnitz didn't really get a good quick start on it. Then he closed the gap later, but allowed his second baseman to make that play over the shoulder. Much more difficult than catching it coming in.
Now Gaetti has driven in 10, and he has slipped to the 282 mark. A 1-out double by Lankford, a walk to McGwire. Jordan popped up. That's hard hit, but right at Loretta. That thing was bound for the corner, but hit right at Mark Loretta. The Cardinals leave a couple, and we head to inning number 2. Stottlemyre heads back to work. He'll deal with Jenkins, Valentine, and Matheny for the Brewers in the second. Baseball game. We're going to talk NHL playoff hockey and preview game 3. That's coming up tomorrow. Red Wings and Blues. Pregame show will start at 6:20. Pep rally will be at 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Where that pep rally is, I don't know. We'll find out and pass it along. Here's Jeff Jenkins. He takes a strike from Stottlemyre. And here we are in the second with no score. Rally is at Kiel, so get there early and help cheer on the Blues to victory. 0-2 on Jenkins. This rookie is burst onto the scene with 4 home runs. That's tough to do. 4 home runs, 5 RBIs.
Yeah, he really got those home runs, and I'll bet you at least 3 of them are solos, if not all 4.
And that should be the first out here in the second as Gaetti, with a high sky, tries to find it, makes the catch, 1 out. Usually is pretty tough at this time of night. I'm sure Gaetti's talking about that with this clear blue sky at this time as the sun is setting. It's difficult at times to pick up a pop-up. Gaetti stayed with it for the first out in the second.
Lights haven't taken effect yet, and maybe even an inning or so from now, and maybe the most critical time where it's tough on those pop-ups.
Here's a shortstop with a lot of power, Jose Valentin. Jose has hit 6 home runs, driven in 17. The average is not what you would expect. Down at 222, and Stottlemyre falls behind 2-0. A high strike, 2-1. On deck is Matheny. Valentin, the number 6 hitter for Phil Garner. That's well hit, but not going to go too far. Jordan is there, 2 gone. And the first 2 are retired here in the second. Monday, May 25th, Cardinals take on the Rockies. And it's Six Flags Day. All fans age 10 and under with a paid admission receive a free child's admission pass to Six Flags of St. Louis, good through July 4th of 1998. You can also visit the Looney Tunes characters in the Kids Corner during the game. That's Monday, May 25th. Cards and Rockies, a 1:10 game. There's a ball to Matheny. Mentioned earlier that he is a St. Louisan now, living here over the offseason. Married to a St. Louis girl who went to St. Joe's.
And a very well-known father-in-law.
Dick Schaefer, daughter Kristen Schaefer, who is married to Mike. What a great family. What a good man he is.
You know, and Mike was always a good handler of pitchers, good defensive catcher, but not much of a hitter. And batting .297 is standing at home plate.
And he's up on the count here, 2-1. He's hit 3 home runs, driven in 10. His father-in-law hosted a lot of the Brewers personnel today out at the Bluffs.
Hopefully he wore them all out.
That's right. Well, they're announcers, so I don't think it really matters. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Stottlemyre looks for a 1-2-3 inning. Took care of Jenkins, Valentin, and now the 2-2 to Matheny. Second strikeout for Stottlemyre, his first perfect inning, and we go to the bottom of the second. Gant, Pagnazzi, DeShields coming up. Stottlemyre looks on at the start, no score.
$74 million payroll. Just 1 game over 500 and already 8 behind the Yankees.
That's a dismal picture.
I guess you got to spend more money.
You got to spend more money, although they have a $72 million payroll and a median age of 72 on that team. There's a strike to Gant as we begin the second inning. Bottom half, no score. Pagnazzi and DeShields will follow. It's an old team for Baltimore, and they have a window. They're looking at about another year, maybe 2. They have a lot of free agents coming up at the end of this year. And they are looking at this season as a season where if this group is going to do it, this is the year to do it. Loretta to his left takes care of Gant, 1 away.
Loretta moves to his left. Ball stays down, and he keeps the glove right down there also. A lot of injuries on this Brewers ball club, but yet Phil Garner says as long as the other team doesn't have, you know, that many more than us or less than us, I think we can still compete.
The bottom line is you've got a team, Milwaukee. Houston is the same way. They've had injuries hit them, especially to their starting rotation, and yet they've persevered and played through it and been successful. And the Cardinals trying to do the same, but right now having a tough time getting it together. And I think it becomes more and more obvious as each day goes by that this team severely misses Matt Morris and Alan Bennis.
Oh, no question. And of course, Tony La Russa trying to, you know, find the components there. There's Alan Bennis, but you also got to get guys like Pags on the you know, got to give them some at-bats to get them working.
First two are gone quietly here in the second with the Shields coming up. Cardinal fans, don't miss out on Coca-Cola Teen Tuesdays going on all summer long. On every Tuesday in the months of May, June, July, and August, fans 19 and under will get $5 off an $11 terrace reserved seat, which is subject to availability and not to be combined with any other offer. Also, teens should look for other great offers on these dates at the new Coca-Cola attraction located out in center field. Coca-Cola Teen Tuesdays this summer.
We got to hit a home run and see the birds fly and the Coca-Cola bottles. Well, you call them big burps or what? Yeah. Eruptions.
Confetti will come spilling out of the top of those bottles, and the Cardinals will fly around out in center field. 2 balls and a strike on Delino, who finds himself in the number 8 spot for the first time this season. Tony La Russa thinking that those days off will do a world of good for the Shields. He said Delino's bat was getting a little slow toward the end of that road trip and was going to give him an off day anyway. And now he doesn't have to play a game without Delino in there.
Look at that average against left-handers, 455. That's a good point, Joe. And you remember also the fact Brian Jordan had the sore calf. So these guys don't miss games. And hopefully when those doubleheaders come around, you have your full starting rotation intact.
3 balls, 2 strikes on to Shields. Back to Carl, and the Cardinals go 1-2-3 in the second. Both pitchers starting out strong. The first of a 2-game series with Milwaukee. No score after 2. Welcome back to Fox Sports Midwest, part of the Fox Sports Net. We are through 2 innings here. First meeting of the season between the Brewers and the Cardinals. No score after 2. And Todd Stottlemyre heads back to work. Part of the lovely crowd here at Busch Stadium. Natalie Buck with the pink bow in her hair.
How about those cultured pearls?
Oh yeah, nothing but the finest. Here's Bob Hamlin. Hamlin, a former Rookie of the Year while with Kansas City. Grounds it sharply through the right side, and wouldn't you know it, the guy hitting .095 leads off with the best hit ball of the night, a base hit to right.
5 for 43, really struggling prior to this base hit. Remember, he was Rookie of the Year. He wore glasses back then for Kansas City. Squinting, so maybe his contacts now or something. But
he's had a difficult time keeping the weight off. He left Kansas City, went to Detroit, was up and down with the Tigers, and now Stottlemyre, Pagnazzi, and Gaetti will talk about this upcoming bunt. And it's going to have to be a pretty doggone good bunt from Scott Carl to get Hamlin down to second.
And this is a situation where Tony also knows and really intently looking to see if he can pick up his bunt sign on, something else on. Joe Youngblood, former Cardinal, is the third base coach for Phil Garner. He verbally told Scott Carl maybe, hey, square around. They come charging severely, fake bunt and hit. But this is where these American League or former American League hitters really are not that adept at swinging the bat.
Showing bunt, little pitch out as Carl was going to swing. McGwire's charging with a pitch, and Hamlin stayed put.
Almost a planned play where had that option with Delino sitting at the first base bag, you know, and Pagnazzi really looked there. Can we have a chance to pick him off?
Carl does bunt, and Pagnazzi can't make the catch. He had it right there, but off his glove as he made the effort. Good effort. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Real good effort right there. And you know, the few times we have seen Pags catch, he's been a little slow, so this is a lot better to see him move that quickly. And you know, Pags wants to do everything he can to show Tony that he deserves more playing time.
So 1 ball, 1 strike on Carl, and we'll see if the Brewers stay with a bunt. Showing bunt so early, and Hamlin gets a look from Stottlemyre. Hamlin does not run well, so Carl's going to have to get down a good one. Stottlemyre will make the play at first. Good bunt by Carl. The sacrifice good 1-4. Nicely laid down by the left-hander, and now the go-ahead run at second with only one out here in the third.
Got the bunt down, and that's something that you have to do now that they're a member of the National League. Stottlemyre never really even looked or thought to go to second base.
So now Stottlemyre will work to Vini and Loretta trying to get around that leadoff hit.
Notice they had that good form with the barrel higher than the handle.
Runner at second, one out, and Vina takes a strike. Former New York Met. This is the guy that was just absolutely flattened a couple of years ago by Albert Bell in a game when Bell was playing for the Cleveland Indians, playing Milwaukee. And it drew a lot of criticism. There's another strike, and it's 0-2. A lot of criticism for Albert Bell as he laid a forearm into the face or neck area of Vina. It was in a game that was out of reach at the time, and a lot of people said it was a dirty play by Albert Bell. The 0-2 pitch. Good pitch down and in, and a big strikeout for Stottlemyre. Talk about a I've been had swing. Strikeout number 3 for Stottlemyre, the best pitch of the night.
Well, at one time, left-handers really gave Stottlemyre a lot of fits. It's not the case this year. And you can either elevate your slider or you can really have more of a tilt to it like he just did there. And it's pretty good, interesting right there, that graphic of his ERA by third of a game.
A strike over the outside corner to Loretta, looking for the 2-out hit.
Middle innings, he has a little trouble, but if he gets past that 6th inning, he really can bow his neck. But usually at that case, you know, I mean, he doesn't have any complete games yet, so a little bit misleading.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And of course, Joe, I think one of the trends early in the season that is so alarming for the entire pitching staff is 24 out of 34 games the Cardinals staff has allowed 3 runs or more in 1 inning.
Good fastball for strike 2, and the overall ERA over 5. Dave Duncan said it in the paper today. This is not, in his estimation, a staff that should have an ERA over 5, and a lot of that lately has fallen back on the starting rotation, while the bullpen has really picked it up after struggling early. The 1-2. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, I think every time we show a bullpen ERA for a while, it's going to be totally misleading because they're pitching much more effectively than what that ERA will indicate. You have a couple bad innings and you have so few innings pitched, it's going to be a while to work it down.
That's down the corner and out of play. It'll stay 1-2. The bullpen ERA right now is 5.02. Cardinal bullpen has a record of 7-5 and 10 saves. And you see a couple of members of the bullpen with Busby on your left and Frascatore, Bottenfield. Some good components down there, and I think over the past week and a half everybody's been fitting into more of a slot as opposed to earlier in the year. The 1-2 to Loretta. 2-2 with Burnitz on deck. Hamlin is the runner at second, so even with a hit, it's not a guarantee that the Brewers would score a run. Loretta trying to give the Brewers that chance. Over the outside corner, and strikeout number 4 for Todd Stottlemyre. Loretta didn't like it. That's strikeout number 49 on the season for the Cardinal right-hander. Stottlemyre, Clayton, Lankford coming up. Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by your local Chrysler and Plymouth dealers, by Pizza Hut, home of the new Sicilian pizza, can you handle it, and by Auto Tire. Auto Tire, the home of bottom line pricing. Todd Stottlemyre trying to bunt his way on. Hamlin came in and made the play. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 3rd inning.
Not a bad try right there, Joe. I mean, he just bunted a little bit too hard. trying to get on, start something for the top of the order.
Back to the top, and Royce Clayton walks in with Lankford to follow. No score here in the bottom of the third. Brewers 2 hits, Cardinals 1. Clayton grounded out to short back in the first inning, ball 1. Chuck, Christy, Candace, and Kim Bobbitt want to wish their mom, Patricia Bobbitt, a happy birthday. They don't know how old she is, it says, but she keeps saying 29. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I'm actually older than my mother now.
2 balls and a strike.
I have been for many years. You know, she's only 39.
She looks a lot better than you.
I hope so.
Clayton's average at 240. Did hit his first home run of the season on that road trip in Pittsburgh. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Mark Hirschbeck, I've never seen him work the plate calling this many strikes.
I like it, though, don't you?
I know you like it.
I mean, I really do. Been consistent on both sides. I think hitter's going to have to adjust to it. If it's near the zone, you better swing.
To the left side, Loretta. Nice stretch. 2-out. So the first 2 are gone here in the third with Lankford walking in. Lankford doubled. Was followed by a walk to McGwire, but Jordan popped out. Gaetti lined out back in the first. That's over the inside corner for strike 1 to Lankford. Crowd awful quiet, but a great crowd for a Monday night here at Busch Stadium. This is one of the better crowds of the season.
I was just looking out at this beautiful crowd, and look at the interest out in the bleachers. That tells you how much interest the fans have. It's packed.
Into left field for Jenkins. Lankford now 1 for 2, and Carl has retired 8 straight. We are through 3 here at Busch Stadium, flying through 3 innings. Cardinals and Brewers, no score. Cardinal fans, is breaking the action, brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. We're already into the 4th inning with no score. Brewers have out-hit the Cardinals 2-1, and Stottlemyre brings it to Burnitz. A ball to Jeremy, who doubled in the first inning. Doubled with 2 outs. Stottlemyre then struck out Grissom. Todd gave up a leadoff hit in the third, but after a bunt, back-to-back strikeouts of Vigna and Loretta. 2-0 on Burnitz, who's hit 8 home runs. Got off to a flying start. He's tapered off since then, but he is the everyday right fielder for the Brewers, and a good one.
Well, he really is. Remember that great pitching matchup, Venice against the Brewers? I think it was D'Amico. Was it D'Amico that pitched that game?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And bottom of the 9th inning, home run, solo home run, gave the Brewers a win. I think the Milwaukee feels very fortunate. They picked up Burnitz at the right time. You know, he didn't get a lot of playing time on the Mets. Then same thing with Cleveland. Got a chance to play over there, and the Brewers are reaping the benefits.
Good pitch on 3-1, and now a full count on Burnitz, who didn't like the call. Burnitz is a guy who blossomed with very little pressure while playing the outfield for Milwaukee. How about that? Coming back from 3-0 to strike out Burnitz, and that's 3 strikeouts in a row, 5 on the night for Stottlemyre. And here are the last 2 pitches.
Right there, a little generous down and away, but both sides of the plate. That one pretty much down the middle, but it's the breaking ball.
Now Grissom took a ball. You talked about Grissom when he came up in the first inning. I still don't think the Indians realize how good of a player Marquise Grissom really is.
I agree with you 100%, but what a great deal that turned out for the Brewers. They got Jeff Juden, one of their big horses out of the rotation. They get Grissom. They give up Ben McDonald, and then he can't play for him. They end up getting him back.
He underwent season-ending surgery. He's had 2 surgeries within the last calendar year as Stottlemyre gives Grissom a nasty slider. Grissom's just shaking his head. Todd is on tonight. But Grissom in the postseason, he's one of the best postseason players the last 20 years.
He'll win you a whole bunch of games with his glove, too.
Just keep going away, down and away to Grissom. Further and further away, and that's 4 strikeouts in a row for Stottlemyre.
Look at where Pag's set up well off the plate, but yet he gets Grissom swinging. Same thing again. Just starts it out over the outside corner, and then Grissom, who sat out the last 5 games with the
strained muscle, Al, in his buttocks.
Yes. And Stottlemyre, just give him credit for seeing that big swing strike zone and taking advantage of it.
Jeff Jenkins takes a ball.
Have you ever had a pulled muscle in your
buttocks? No.
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, as funny as this sounds, but in spring training, a lot of pitchers would have that situation happen, and it was something you looked forward to because it meant you were starting to use your legs properly.
2 balls and a strike. I refuse to believe that that's A, a politically correct word, so I'm sorry I've said it 10 times already, and B, a medical term. That just doesn't, seems like a made-up word. 2 balls and a strike on Jenkins. You talk about taking advantage of a wide strike zone. Stottlemyre keeps going another half-inch to the outside, and he's getting it from Hirschbeck.
You know, Joe, that's a great point, because so many times pitchers see that strike zone, but yet they don't take advantage of it.
Stottlemyre is off to a terrific start. He struck out 7. We might be digging into the record books before the end of the night. Well, we asked the question seemingly night after night after night. Have you checked out the new Cardinal picnic area? It's called Power Alley. Located in right field above the relocated Cardinals bullpen, Power Alley is great for groups of 4 or more. For a $47 ticket, you receive a 2-hour buffet, unlimited soda and beer, and a seat in the area throughout the game. Power Alley is booking fast, so call 314-421-3060 and do what these folks did. Watch a game from Power Alley right above the Cardinal bullpen. You can eat and clap at one time.
And you get to stay there right at your table for the entire game.
That's right.
What a deal.
Here's McGwire leading it off. Here's the perfect guy to bust up this 0-0 game. McGwire walked his first time. It's the only walk handed out tonight. And the typical McGwire shift with that's down the line, hooking foul. The McGwire shift playing McGwire to pull on the infield, and with a swing like that and the history of McGwire, it's easy to understand why. 0-2, however. His career at Busch Stadium, 37 games, 21 home runs. 45 RBIs in the 37 games he's played here at home as a Cardinal.
And still, Busch Stadium is one of the bigger ballparks in baseball.
You're right. It's how could he come to the National League with all these bigger ballparks and still expect to hit home run after home run? All those scratch home runs he hits. That's straight up in the air, and I wish the best of luck to Mike Matheny, catcher, Milwaukee Brewers, and he stayed right with it. Hardly had to move, but Al, that is anything but easy.
No, not easy at all. And see, you can see now how light's just starting to take effect.
Brian Jordan walks in, part of our Casino Queen leaderboard. And we look at his average against left-handed pitching in the National League. He's number 4. See one lefty on that list, Olerud with the Mets. Derek Bell leading the way at 640. And boy, is he off to a great start.
Boy, that's hard to believe. 640. Brian Jordan. Need to get Brian to continue swinging the hot bat. get something started here.
1 ball, 1 strike. Bryan had a chance back in the first inning with 2 on, 1 out, but he popped up. 2-1 with Gaetti next. Gaetti in that first inning hit a screaming line drive that was headed for and eventually ended up in the glove of Mark Loretta, the Brewers' third baseman. 2 balls and a strike on Bryan. Rain 1.
Something the Cardinals really have not been doing is working the pitcher to a deep count.
Oh. High strike, 3-2. I groan because you get used to watching a strike zone a certain way. Even though that is the rule book strike zone, umpires don't call it anymore. And when one does, it sticks out. Into center field. That's well hit. Grissom watches it lead. Number 6. And the Cardinals lead by 1. Oh, fly, birdies fly. The Cardinals taking their first tour out on the new scoreboard in center field. Jordan gets number 6 to put the Cardinals out in front by 1.
Oh yeah, Coca-Cola bottles are going crazy out there. They're fizzing. Well, I'm glad they called that high strike now, Joe. Hanging breaking ball right up there, eye level. And look at Grissom, always plays one of the most shallow center field. He just turned around and watched it out there in the shrubbery.
Now with 1 out, the base is clear. Gaetti took a ball. That's right. If you remember that 3-1 pitch, belled high, called a strike, and on the very next delivery, Jordan gets home run number 6. Boy, has he really made a charge at the plate. He is probably the most consistent hitter the Cardinals have right now.
Yeah, and you know what? Another factor, because they called that high strike, he swung at the high hanging breaking ball. I contend that if they call high pitches, you will have just as much offense because hitters will find that hanging breaking ball is the easiest pitch to hit out.
There is one for Gaetti sitting out over the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. A 415-foot home run from Bryan Jordan to break this scoreless tie. Strikeout number 1 for Carl, and Gaetti protests mildly.
Well, somebody's going to get tossed in the bench here, maybe.
Tony La Russa hops out of the dugout. It wasn't Tony La Russa.
No, it looked like it might have been Clayton. I'm not sure if someone got tossed or not. You know, but see, that's someone in the dugout. I mean, if your ears are that sensitive, you're in the wrong profession.
I think Tony La Russa, and this is just a guess, but I know you'll agree with me on this, Al. I know you well enough. Tony La Russa goes out there to try to calm Mark Hirschbeck down, not to argue, but to calm Mark Hirschbeck down, thinking more about Stottlemyre than about Clayton. He doesn't want Hirschbeck to now change the strike zone that he's been giving Stottlemyre as Gant hits a home run to double the Cardinal lead. Off the stadium bump for number 6. Jordan and Gant, and those Birds are working overtime out in center field.
Now they're breaking ball, but this time Gant just goes down, drops the bat head, and lifts it, all a McGwire style, and almost hit it as far as Big Mac. Talk about Jordan being one of the most consistent hitters. Well, Here's one of the guys we need to have smiling more frequently, and that's Ron Gant.
That's pretty well hit into center field. It'll hang up for Grissom. And the Cardinals starting to catch up to Scott Carl. A 2-home run inning for the Cardinals, and that has to feel awfully good the way the Cardinals have been swinging the bats. They're smiling now, happy to be back home. And after 4, lead the Brewers 2-0. Into the 5th inning, Cardinals on the power of 2 home runs. One by Jordan, one by Gant, lead 2-zip. And Jose Valentin takes a strike from Todd Stottlemyre. And let's go back briefly, Al, to that mild argument from the bench. Mark Hirschbeck ripping off the mask and looking over at the bench, and then what I said I thought Tony La Russa was doing in response to that.
Yeah, I really agree with you, Joe. And let me tell you this. I go back far enough to when Tony La Russa first started in the American League. I thought at that time he was way too confrontational with the umpires. And I think if one thing I really see is how much he's learned to psychologically work the umpires and really to, one, protect all of his players, but most importantly, like you said, to go out there and continue to keep that strike zone for his pitcher.
Maybe a fringe benefit of the law degree.
Oh, yes. What an arbitrator.
Always the arbitrator. Always trying to keep everybody calm. And I think that's a big part of his approach.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because he goes, why battle him? You can't win.
Over the inside corner, and maybe a little talk had its effect as Valentin is strikeout number 6 in a row for Stottlemyre, and now number 8 on the night.
Well, he's just got that outstanding breaking ball. Look at that, right underneath the hands. Now, it's borderline on the corners, but, you know, we've seen a strike zone that is a little bit wide on both sides of the plate.
That'll break the string, but that'll be out number 2 as Lankford puts it in his pocket. 2 down here in the 5th inning.
Well, the best thing about that, Joe, is you've got rid of a batter in one pitch, because if you strike out a lot of people, your pitch total gets up there high very quickly.
By the way, that was Mike Matheny.
Mike Matheny.
I never got a chance to say his name before that fly ball into center, and here comes Bob Hamlin.
You know, it used to drive me crazy if I had a lead with having one of my teammates get in an argument with the umpire, because I felt that I could stop the opposition if I only had to compete with them. I couldn't beat the umpire also.
Here's a guy who is one of the greater mysteries in baseball over the past 5 or 6 years. Hamlin, when he came up for a full year, over 100 games in 1994, hit .282 with 24 home runs and was Rookie of the Year. After that, the next season, 168, was down at Omaha most of the year. Kansas City the next year, 255. Then Detroit with Toledo. Back to Detroit. Stottlemyre lost his concentration, but they get Hamlin at first base as Stottlemyre juggled it and was able to stay with it and get the out. A mild argument at first. Brewers go in order. Cardinals. Look at that final out, Al. Was he out?
Yeah, I think he is. Now watch here. Here's a little exchange. The bobble. Now watch the glove. He's got the glove on the bag and the ball in his hand. You don't have to put the ball on the base, but it looked a little misleading. He recorded the out long before, because he'll put the right there. As soon as he's got the hand on the bag and the ball in his hand, he's out. But when he reached over with the ball, the hand was holding the ball and tried to touch the base, is when I think the bench for the Brewers thought, well, wait a minute, he was safe.
Certainly would make this game interesting if every play at first for the out, you had to actually touch the ball to the bag. DeShields checks on his friend Grissom out in center. 1 pitch, 1 out. That's the way we start the bottom of the 5th inning with the Cardinals leading 2-0. There are the usual suspects. On Sunday, May 24th, the Cardinals play the Giants. It's Coca-Cola Deerberg's T-shirt day at the ballpark. All fans 15 and under. These guys all qualify. If they pay for their admission, they receive a T-shirt designed like the Cardinals' new batting practice jerseys. And you saw the names on the back. Lankford, Morris, Jordan, Allen Bennis, courtesy of Coca-Cola and Deerbergs again, Sunday, May 24th, Cardinals and Giants. 1 out and 1 strike on Stottlemyre. Todd tried to bunt his way on his first time. And he's in the hole here, 0-2.
You know, Todd, a great competitor. He's going to battle all the way, and usually his uniform's pretty filthy top to bottom when the game's over, but I kind of want him to sit down and concentrate on baseball, pitching.
Strikeout number 2 for Scott Carl. And the first 2 are out for the Cardinals here in the 5th inning. Well, we have a lot of guests on Cardinal Baseball now because of our pregame show. And guests appearing in Cardinal Baseball receive a gift certificate to Krieger's Pub and Grill, St. Louis's neighborhood bar and grill. Visit any one of their 5 locations. 2 out, nobody on, and Royce Clayton walks in, and it was Clayton, if you remember, last inning that argued with a called 3rd strike on Gaetti. Argued from the bench, and Mark Hirschbeck not only identified the voice, but spotted him on the bench, and Royce gets a base hit through the right side. The Cardinals pick up their 4th hit of the night.
Well, smart thinking. Go up there and I'll swing at the first pitch. Won't give him a chance.
Get away from home plate as quickly as possible. I think Tony La Russa would like to see Royce do this a little more.
I sure would. I think he has a good stroke to the opposite field, and he can drive a ball out there also. Get him away from trying to swing, and then if they change their pitching pattern, come in, that's when he can turn on a pitch and hit that ball out of the ballpark.
Lankford now with 1 on, 2 out. Rays 1 for 2. Doubled in the first and fly to left in the 3rd. That's foul. When I came to the ballpark and checked out the lineup, I looked at Lankford batting in front of McGwire, and I kind of like the look of it. I understand why he was hitting behind him, but Al, if he's not hitting, then it's really a lost cause, and there isn't much protection there anyway.
Yeah, and I guess if you changed.
That's pretty well hit into left center field. That's got a chance. Back at the track, at the wall, gone. Lankford goes deep, number 2, and the Cardinals lead by 4. Got to feel good, Al, for a guy who hasn't hit the ball with much authority over the past couple of weeks.
Now their breaking ball. Only question was, he going to get enough of the sweet part of the bat to drive it over the wall? And once again, here's an opposite field shot.
Strike 1 on McGwire, who has walked and popped up.
My question is, why did we wait so long for these Coca-Cola bottles out there that explode after Cardinal home runs, or the birds flying? Those birds have been in storage for a long time. They want to fly, don't they?
Telling you. What a night for those 2 little guys out in center field, huh?
Kind of worn out, aren't they?
They come out here first night. They're flying around 3 times in the first 5 innings. A ball and 2 strikes on McGwire, and the crowd gets on Mark Hirschbeck a little bit.
Now it's time for Big Mac to meet Big Mac Land.
Two and 2. Hey, Joe, how about trivia? Okay, on our Southwestern Bell trivia question, the last Cardinal to lead the National League in total bases. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on, and that's back here. Well, we've given you long enough to research it and think about it. Joe Torre, that MVP season of 1971. Two and 2 on McGwire. Over the outside corner, and McGwire is strikeout victim number 3 for Scott Carl. But big damage done. A 2-out single by Clayton, followed by a 2-run home run from Lankford. A 3-home run night, 4-0 St. Louis. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Hoover. Nobody gets the dirt like Hoover, nobody. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. If you depend on your car, depend on Dobbs. And by Steak and Shake Extra Innings. We're open 24 hours. Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. First pitch is to the pitcher, Scott Carl, and it's strike one from Stottlemyre. Carl laid down a perfect bunt his first time up. And I don't like his chances.
I think go back to bunt.
0-2 the count.
I think I like Todd's chances of picking up strikeout number 9.
Here it comes. Strikeout. No.
Oh.
He'll take it. Out number 1 here in the 6th inning as McGwire feeds Stottlemyre. 1-1.
And we almost got a sprained ankle for Stottlemyre. Todd's having his troubles a little bit. Last time he bobbled over there, so McGwire said, I'm going to put it eye high. And there you see him step down on the bag. That's the only risk that, wasn't really forceful with the toss.
Let's not lose this in the first 5 1/3 innings here. Todd Stottlemyre came into this season as the staff ace. Of course, they lost Andy Bennis, and it was all on Stottlemyre. And he is pitching tonight just like you need a staff ace to pitch when you come off a 1-7 road trip and you're facing a division opponent.
Oh, I agree with you.
The numbers for Stottlemyre in home games, an ERA of about a 1.5. That'll win a lot of games with this offense behind him.
And you know what, Joe? The first couple years here, Todd pitched much more effectively on the road than he did here at Busch Stadium, so really turned things around. He's just pitching tough all year long.
4-0 Cardinals in the 6th inning. And a little flare to Lankford. Nobody's really making very good contact against Stottlemyre at all. He's allowed no runs, 2 hits. He struck out 8 through 5 2/3. So with the bases empty, here comes Mark Loretta, the number 2 hitter, who is vitally important to Stottlemyre ahead of their big guy, Burnitz. Keep Loretta off base, and so far Stottlemyre's done it. Mark's 0 for 2. Strike 1.
Kind of reminds me of a Terminex man.
In a weird way, it does.
Yeah, sort of. I can't really explain why or how.
Loretta's just up there flailing in the count 0-2. With the bases empty, 2 out, Stottlemyre brings it on 0-2 to Loretta. Instead, time call. Stottlemyre has retired 11 straight. All after that leadoff hit back in the 3rd. It's still 0-2.
There he dropped down, gave another look to a right-handed batter with a little bit of Laredo.
Laredo to Loretta. Were you thinking along those lines?
No,
that just happened. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Like a couple female gunslingers.
The numbers for Loretta, much better than a year ago with the average, as Al mentioned, struggling to find playing time, and he's strikeout victim number 9. Todd Stottlemyre's retired 12 straight. Bottom of the 6th inning. They're taking a little rest right now. It's still 4-0. Cardinals hit a home run. What happened? Pop. The fireworks pop up in the sky. All right. All right. Where are you? There you are. Brian Jordan will lead it off. You can do this when the Cardinals are leading 4-0 coming off a 1-7 road trip. Life is good. Everybody's happy.
You betcha.
Natalie's enjoying Cardinal baseball, as are these. What do you think? Jordan grounds to short. Valentine to his left. Good play. What do you think, Al? 32, 3, 4,000?
I'll tell you what, this is an outstanding crowd. Forget that it's Monday night with this kind of crowd, and they're all enjoying Cardinal baseball like it ought to be.
We've been promoting this series as a big one, and it's really turned out that way. Of course, the Cardinals, coming off that road trip, fell to 4.5 games out of first, but it's easy to get wrapped up in that. We're only in the first week and a half of the month of May. Gaetti takes the ball. The Brewers come in 2.5 games out. They got off to a flying start, and for the better part of the first month of the season led the Central Division. They just lost 2 of 3 back home to the Houston Astros. Two balls, no strikes on Gaetti, who's lined out and struck out. 3-0. So even though everybody likes to scoreboard watch, it's a little premature for that, but what the heck. 3 balls, no strikes, 1 out, nobody on. 3-1 on Gaetti. Full count. If you're just joining us, the Cardinals had 2 home runs back in the 4th inning. One by Jordan with a 1 out. With 2 out, Gant went deep, and then a 2-out rally in the 5th inning. Gaetti to the second baseman, Vigna. 2 out. In that 5th inning, a 2-out hit by Clayton, followed by a 2-run home run from Lankford. Our Postal Service's out-of-town scoreboard. Atlanta, they keep on rolling. Boy, have they had a great month, start to the month of May. Pittsburgh leading over Colorado. Florida and Houston 1-1 in the 4th. Chicago at Arizona, and that's Kerry Wood's latest start after that 20 strikeout performance. A lot of action out on the West Coast, including the New York Mets, who are happy to be out of New York, where, as you mentioned, the Yankees were rained out today.
Speaking of that Atlanta ball club, they're going to be following these Brewers here on the homestand. The next telecast will be Wednesday against the Atlanta Braves.
We were scheduled to broadcast tomorrow night. If you're living off that early schedule, the reason why we will not bring you that game is for Blues hockey. Game 3 of that best-of-7 series with the Red Wings. 2 out, nobody on. Gant homered his last time, and that's pretty well hit to right. Back, Burnett's at the track, at the wall, can't get it. Gant will dig for 2 and should make 3. Ron Gant heads for third. He's got a 2-out triple.
He's got the 2 toughest hits in the cycle, a home run and now a triple. But what a difference. Home run to left, now off speed, changeup, up a little bit, out of way. Burnett starts, he knows he's on the warning track, shied away a little bit. Didn't feel comfortable nearing that wall. Ron Gant has a play in front of him. He sees that it gets down. He'll turn on the afterburners and gets over to third base. And Joe, a great trend for the Cardinals this year is their ability to score after 2 outs. 3 of the 4 runs already have come with 2 outs, and Ronnie's sitting there with 2 now.
Pagnazzi is 2 out of 11 this season. And behind on the count 0-1. I would venture to say that the Cardinals' #1 catcher, if you had to pick a guy, is probably Eli Marrero.
I think so. He is slumping a little bit. Lampkin's slumping a little bit. Pags hadn't even really got started, but this is a great opportunity for Pags, and you got to say he's handling Stoudemire brilliantly.
And that goes a long way.
Yes, it does. Ellie still, I mean, it's only, he never really had any spring training. So you know he's going to feel a little bit after a while. And Lampkin, you kind of wore him out in the first month of the season.
After a long month in the spring.
Yeah.
Runner at third, 2 out. And a 2-1 count on Pagnazzi. To me, if you get Pagnazzi swinging the bat well and back into playing shape, you've got a weapon here that the Cardinals haven't been able to use for the first month and a half.
And a weapon on both sides of the play. Offensively and defensively.
Pagnazzi knows he can't complain about that low delivery called a strike after catching Stoudemire and seeing some of the strikes that he's getting. Looking for the 2-out RBI hit. Gant 90 feet away. 2-2. I can go ahead.
I was going to say, and also they got to play Pags a little bit, even if, as we're in an area where you're looking for starting pitchers, you know, via trade. Well, you know, there's always certain people you can trade, and you know, why would another club want Pagnozzi if he's not playing?
3-2 now with the Shields on deck. I contend that in 1996, when the Cardinals were a game away from the World Series, that Tom Pagnozzi was as vital to that team as any other component, catching that pitching staff. When he came back, the pitching staff really turned its fortunes around. That's high for ball 4. It's going to be up to Delino. Second walk issued by Carl.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And just injuries, what has curtailed Tom's career. And they're all significant. They're all legitimate.
DeShields now hitting .319. He's 0 for 2. He's bounced back to the pitcher, Carl. And he's fly to center. Now he looks for the 2-out RBI hit. Cardinals lead 4-0 in the bottom of the 6th. Delino's driven in 13. Still hasn't gone deep. He was in double digits in home runs last season. And in that one a little over the heart of the plate, maybe fading away from DeShields, and it's 0-2. Gant with a 2-out triple at third. Pagnozzi then drew a 2-out walk. Cards have out hit the Brewers 6-2 and lead 4-zip.
Randall Scott Carl.
Still 1-2. So he's got 3 first names.
Yeah, 3 first names, but he doesn't like the first name.
He's a left-hander.
Oh, I can understand.
Big crowd hoping for more 2-out runs for the Cardinals. First and third. A 1-2. Over the inside corner. DeShields will argue mildly. And the Cardinals strand a couple. They have left 4 tonight through 6. Cardinals in control, leading 4-0. Fox Sports Midwest is pleased to congratulate 5-year-old Bobby Smith of Belleville, Illinois. Tonight's Cardinals superfan. Tells us his favorite player is Mark McGwire. Cardinals Superfan is sponsored by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Many experts have picked the Cardinals to win the division. Were they right? Find out daily with complete standings in the Post-Dispatch. Post-Dispatch covering more than just the score. Our Auto Tire What's on Tap, our next game on Fox Sports Midwest. Al already blew all the suspense. Wednesday night. First of 2 with the Atlanta Braves. We're on the air at 6:30 with our pregame show. Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves. Here's a ball to Jeremy Burnitz, the number 3 hitter. He's 1 for 2, has one of the 2 Milwaukee hits tonight. Cardinals lead 4-0. One ball, 1 strike.
Hey, John. Tyron operator, isn't he the one that types up things, puts it on the screen?
Yes.
Well, why is Doug Stanton so cheap that he wants us to say happy birthday to his father? Why can't he type up happy birthday, happy 60th to his father, Phil?
Well, maybe he'll type it up now. 2 balls and a strike to Burnitz leading off.
Anyway, happy birthday, Phil Stanton, 60 years old today. Strike 2, 2-2. He's got a great son who's been a nice addition to our traveling squad with the Cardinals. Great type. I mean, he's quiet? No, he's not quiet, and therefore he fits right in. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the leadoff hitter. Ooh, think that's a little closer to strike than one to Shields. But if you're Stottlemyre, you've been given quite a few. This is the only thing, though, is you don't want all of a sudden the strike zone to change the last 3 innings of a game.
Grissom to follow. There's strike 3 over the outside corner. How did Burnitz take that? Strikeout number 10. And 13 in a row retired by Todd Stottlemyre. Well, Fox Sports Midwest and 105.7 The Point have teamed up on a rally for the Blues and the Red Wings on Tuesday. The rally's for the Blues, but they'll play the Red Wings. Come to Kiel Center early for live music from New World Spirits. Fan cards, freebies, and more. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock until game time outside Kiel Center. New World Spirits will be playing. And we'll have free Fox Sports Midwest fan cards.
And the hockey world is playing for that Stanley Cup.
Did they show that guy with the cup? Yeah. I was reading. I didn't see that. Yes, the tinfoil cup.
Yes.
1 out, nobody on, and 1 and 2 on Grissom. Marquise has not had a fun night. That's 3 at-bats, 3 strikeouts. And he just cannot figure out that slider from Stottlemyre.
11 in the game for Stottlemyre.
And that's 14 in a row retired by the Cardinal right-hander.
Once again, starts at about the off the plate, or right on the outside corner. Look at that. We got one more slot. Okay.
Here's Jeff Jenkins. Strike 1. It's just been nothing but strikes for Todd. He fell behind one hitter. That was Burnitz 3-0 to lead off the 4th inning, and he came back and struck him out. Nothing in 2. Now the 0-2 from Stottlemyre. There's strikeout number 11. 15 in a row retired by Todd. As we head to the bottom of the 7th inning, Cardinals lead 4-zip. Let's take a look at what's coming your way tonight on Fox Sports News after the game. For that, we take you to the Fox Network Center. Hello there, sign maker, and everyone in St. Genevieve, Missouri. Makes you feel good, Al, doesn't it?
Let me dry my eyes.
It does. That's nice. Thanks for the sign.
Yeah, I know.
Bring a sign, you put our names on it, it's getting on the air.
That's right.
Todd Stottlemyre gets a nice hand as he leads it off, Al. I said 11. It's 12 strikeouts for Todd. He's retired 15 in a row. And he leads it off here in the bottom of the 7th inning with the Cardinals leading 4-0. Todd Stottlemyre, back in June of '95, struck out a career high of 15 against the Kansas City Royals, and he has 12 through 7 innings here tonight.
Now, Joe, with 12 now, and he's got 6 more outs to get, so a maximum he could receive would be 18 strikeouts. This kind of puts things in perspective of how Kerry Woods, a dominating performance with 20 strikeouts.
Over the outside corner, strike 2, 1 and 2. Stottlemyre, Clayton, and Lankford in the inning. 2 and 2 now. Scott Carl has persevered. He has given up 3 home runs to account for all 4 Cardinal runs. Solo shots by Jordan and Gant in the 4th, and a 2-run home run by Lankford the opposite way in the 5th. Stottlemyre throws his bat at the ball, and hopefully everybody's all right over there. Not talking about the bat, I'm talking about the foul ball. As that ball whistled into the crowd just over the Milwaukee dugout. Looks like everybody's okay. He's been knocked silly. It's the happiest guy I've ever seen that just got drilled by a foul ball.
Now, Joe, what a remarkable night Stottlemyre has going for himself. Oftentimes you worry about a guy getting a high strikeout total because it adds to so many pitches. But you talked about it, he's been ahead of everybody. He's only thrown 89 pitches through the 6 innings.
And he's up there battling at the plate. He becomes the 5th strikeout victim for Scott Carl. And that's the way we begin the bottom of the 7th. Jim Rome tells it like it is, tackling the tough topics and mixing it up with the biggest names in sports. The Last Word, weeknights at midnight on Fox Sports Midwest. One away for the Cardinals in the 7th. Here's Clayton. And there's a ball. Royce, very important base hit his last time up. Took the first pitch, poked it through the right side. And then Lankford walked to the plate and smacked a 2-run home run into the bullpen in left field. 1 ball, 1 strike. Clayton biting his lip, not wanting to turn and say anything, to find himself ridden out of this game by Mark Hirschbeck. 1-2. Clayton's going to hammer at everything now. 1-2. And to go back and be fair to Mark Hirschbeck, we've always cried out for that high strike and umpires calling strikes. And well, look at the pace of this game. I know that Stottlemyre's striking guys out, but here we are at 8:48, and we're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Quick one hopper to Loretta. Shows off a good arm. 2 up, 2 down in the Cardinals' 7th inning. It's been a night of home runs, Al, for the Cardinals, and it started back in the 4th inning. As we watch Lankford walk to the plate, it started out with Brian Jordan.
There's Jordan's home run. Then there's Ron Gant, a monster blast. And then Lankford, opposite field, a 2-run shot, counting for all 4 Cardinal runs in this ball game.
It's only Ray's 2nd. He takes a strike, and you can't quarrel with the results tonight with Lankford batting in that number 2 spot. For the first time this season, he's doubled, flied to left, and hit a 2-run home run. Everything has been the opposite way. That's off the hands and foul for strike 2. The pitch there from Carl.
They kind of laughed about it a little bit. That cheated out of a swing. Pitchers love it. Hitters hate it. Either goes back away with a cutter or comes up. Yep, cutter away.
Half the infield moved over toward the Milwaukee dugout, thinking they had strike number 3 and out number 3, but it's 1-2. They're back now.
Grissom shades Lankford to the opposite field.
Jammed again. Phil Garner and the Brewers, well, the Milwaukee Brewers as a team here in St. Louis at Busch Stadium for the first time since 1982. The Cardinals played in Milwaukee a year ago and were swept 3 in a row. 2-2. That was not a pretty series back in Milwaukee last season.
No, it was not.
Two out, nobody on. Pretty well hit into right center field. They had him played into left center, and that ball's up against the wall. Lankford is digging around second. He'll hold with a 2-out double. And Ray's 3 out of 4 in that number 2 spot.
Nice going, Ray Lankford. Just made mention that Grissom was playing to the opposite field, and Ray got a pitch more in the inner half, and he was able to drive the ball. He had not been driving the ball. Actually, he's out of way, but he got a swing started, and he hits the Coca-Cola sign. Boy, Coca-Cola's been prominent in this game.
That little display out in center ought to pay for itself in about a week. Here's McGwire, who pays and makes it easy to pay for a section up in the upper tank in left field over the Stadium Club. And smart advertising execs jumped on the situation here at Busch Stadium. There's a baseball out on the field out in right center, yet nobody sees it. And there's that sign again. Chuck Fruit, one of the big execs from Coke, former AB employee, was here to throw out the first pitch before the game tonight. You talk about a wonderful guy and a great St. Louisan.
What a great job he has.
Oh, but it was nice to see Chuck come back for that and throw out the first pitch here tonight. The numbers for Mark, 7th inning or later, and this is the 7th inning. 2 out, runner at second, 2-1 on Big Mac. Mark is a home run behind Vinny Castilla for the National League lead. Vinny's got 14, McGwire's got 13, and McGwire leads the NL with 40 RBIs. Juan Gonzalez leads the big leagues with 46, the Texas Ranger. Good pitch, 2-2.
Yeah, but how many of those are because of intimidation?
Of the official score?
Of the official score.
Boy, was that ridiculous. Juan Gonzalez was upset at a ruling by an official scorer, and the rest of the night dedicated all of his efforts pointing toward the press box, and eventually got the play changed. Runner at second, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Full count with Jordan next.
Well, here you would have to think that either a breaking ball, not wanting to throw a strike, or something way away off the plate.
Not even close. And McGwire draws his second walk of the night. 42 on the season at a record-setting pace.
Well, he could beat out Babe Ruth again. Babe holds the record, I believe, at 170 walks in the season.
And McGwire's on a pace to break that. Here comes the pitching coach out to talk to Carl with a right-hander getting ready for the Brewers in the pen. Jordan coming up, and Scott Carl is barely hanging on here in the 7th inning.
Don Rowe is the pitching coach for the Brewers. Actually, think at one time he was a football coach. Well, Galen Cisco probably would qualify. Pitching coach with the Phillies, former captain of the Buckeyes. And Don Rowe was a college football coach. And, you know, a good example. A guy that played 14 years in the minor leagues, pitcher, never made it to the big leagues, but gained an awful lot of experience, and very classy gentleman that is well thought of.
As is their manager, Phil Garner.
Very much so.
2 on, 2 out here for Brian Jordan. And Jordan would like to put a stake in this one and say, we got you. Brewers coming to town for the first time as a member of the NL Central. Cardinals leading 4-0, and a strike in Anthony's to Jordan. Cardinals in command from the start, and that's thanks largely in part to Todd Stottlemyre.
Jeremy Burnitz is deep enough.
He is in right field and a long way away from home plate. The 1-1. Brian held up, 2 balls and a strike. More 2-out noise, and that's really been par for the course tonight. A 2-out double by Lankford into right center, followed by a walk to McGwire. There they are. And Jordan up on the count, 2-1. Wouldn't chase it. 3-1 with Gaetti next. And I will walk out on that limb, Al, and say if Carl doesn't get Jordan, Gaetti will face the right-hander out in the bullpen. See if Brian gets something to hammer here. The 3-1 pitch. Good pitch over the inside corner. Full count. The runners will go.
time he took a 3-1 pitch, didn't he get the home run ball?
He did.
Hanging breaking ball that time.
Carl seeing if Lankford would take off early.
So this is Carl's last pitch, right? Unless a foul ball.
That is my guess. Runners go, and that is a little flare into right center. Long run for Grissom. Can't get it. It drops in front of Grissom. Both runs will score, and the Cardinals open it up, leading 6-0 in the 7th.
Boy, Marquise Grissom is a Gold Glove caliber outfielder, but maybe with that buttock strain, you know, a little bit, not quite, but this was a relatively easy play for him. Maybe a little bit too nonchalant.
You can see a little limp after the fact, after he missed it, Al, but the bottom line is he got there and he just didn't make the catch.
Yeah, you know, I was remarking that he normally plays such a shallow outfielder, and because of the leg problem, playing a little deeper. Brian took it for granted that it was going to be caught. He still couldn't have gotten any further than a double, but that pitch did kind of break things open.
It does go as a double. It is the final pitch of the night for Scott Carl. A hard-throwing right-hander, Al Reyes, will enter from the Milwaukee bullpen. More two-out noise. The Cardinals have scored 6 runs tonight, 5 of which have scored with 2 out. They're in control tonight in the start of an 8-game homestand.
The Cardinals still batting, 2 outs in the inning. They've knocked out the starter, Scott Carl, bringing in Al Reyes, hard thrower. He's having a fairly decent year at this point, 2-0 ERA. Everybody's a little bit inflated and appearing in his 12th ball game. Part of a double switch. You see better than a strikeout an inning and allowing a hit just about an inning. Double switch is Eric Owens, formerly of the Cincinnati Reds, will go in to play left field. Cardinals now leading 6-0 on only 8 hits. Carl went 6 2/3, 8 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 3 home runs. But right here, Joe, Grissom kind of gliding over, almost a little bit nonchalant, taking it for granted, got to it, but just couldn't hold on to it.
He had one of those in the World Series a couple of years back in '96 against the Yankees. It really cost the Atlanta Braves one out in right center field. His manager at the time, Bobby Cox, he believes that Marquise Grissom is the best center fielder at that time in the National League, and probably, I'm sure he still feels that way. However, they have a guy that is an up-and-comer, and Andrew Jones, that they say when he gets the experience has a chance to be one of the best of all time if he can hang on up here and play day after day.
Yeah, struggling offensively. You know, I wonder sometimes if you get so good, if you get a little bored and complacent.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Runner at second, 2 out. You hear of a guy like Deion Sanders, who love him or hate him, is one of the best cover cornerbacks in the history of the NFL. And there are times where he'll try to make it interesting for himself by laying back and trying to recover.
Yeah.
And play little games during a game. I'm not saying that's what's going on with Grissom, but sometimes I think you got to liven it up, and I think he was a little nonchalant on that play, although that's terrible to say from this far away. The ball and 2 strikes on Gaetti. The runner at second, 2 out. Come on, pal, don't stop now.
I was going to say, a runner at second, he looks like he's by the foul pole.
Jordan at second, 2 out. 2-2 from Reyes.
That was the starter for the wave.
That's the official?
Yeah.
That's the Cardinals' answer to Towel Man at the Kiel Center.
Try again, kid.
Here's the 2-2 to Gaetti. Full count with Jordan out at second. Cardinals lead 6-0, and it looks like they'll hop back over the 500 mark after this great effort here tonight, top to bottom.
Reyes has never faced the Cardinals.
That's foul, and Gaetti broke his bat.
Joe, and I think this is something that's important for the Cardinals to come out and not only win, but to win in a dominating fashion. Put the hitting slump to rest.
They couldn't have had a better guy going to the mound on their side. Talking about the Cardinals, Stottlemyre, and really the Brewers threw their best out there, and the Cardinals lead 6-0 in the 7th.
Scott Carl, we mentioned, a great situation. This was his 8th start, and yet his ball club, he was 4-0 personally, and the ball club had won all 7 of his starts. Here's a man that is focused on finishing this game.
3-2 to Gant.
And you know,
battle here.
And you know what, Joe? It's one of those situations where you almost would situation where you want Stottlemyre to be very happy with his performance, but Tony would like to say, hey, Todd, I need some work from my bullpen.
They've had a long layoff out there, and Brantley has not thrown in over a week. Gant, another foul back over our heads.
Brantley really needs a performance.
The only tricky thing with Brantley, though, is they're still not 100% sure on back-to-back nights. So if you throw him tonight just to get him some work, tomorrow night you may be in a save situation and might not have him.
Yeah, if you knew you could bring him back, there'd be no doubt about it.
Gant strikes out after a long battle with Reyes, and the Cardinals are finished getting 2 runs on 2 hits and a walk. They strand their 5th in control tonight. Jordan's had a big night. The Cardinals lead by 6. Take a look at our game summary, which is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. The story is Stottlemyre defensively, 12 strikeouts through 7 innings. Lankford doing well in the 2nd inning, and there's the attendance, a big crowd on a Monday night. And our Hoover pickup of the game, well, Al, let's go back to Stottlemyre.
Well, Stottlemyre's part of everything. I told you he'd get dirty. He'll get down in the dirt. There he is.
Valentine fouls the first pitch away, and we're underway in the 8th inning.
Todd's so gritty, he said, I'd rather have you watch me standing up, mowing down hitters.
That was a play back in the 5th inning. It was at the time the 8th retired in a row by Stottlemyre as he went down to grab it with a bare hand, touching the base with his glove, which constitutes an out. That's foul. Strike 2, and along with the 12 strikeouts, Stottlemyre has retired 15 in a row. The Brewers haven't had a base runner since the first man up in the 3rd. Valentine is 0 for 2. Nice to have Pagnozzi back there and bouncing around so well and obviously calling a good game.
I was just thinking the same thing, Joe.
Still 0-2.
I remember one time in the minor leagues, I don't know if this was quite fair, but if a pitcher threw a no-hitter, he was compensated by $1,000 by some local sponsor, and I played for a manager that said that 50% of it was to go to the catcher. Now, I don't know if it's quite that much input in by the catcher, but a huge part of it working on the same page and trying to do the same thing. You can't explain how reassuring it is as a pitcher almost starting his windup, and he's thinking, this is where I want to pitch, this is the pitch I want, and to have your catcher put down that exact same pitch selection.
Ball and 2 strikes on Valentine. Yeah, I think a catcher can make a big difference with a very good pitcher. I think with a guy who can't pitch, it doesn't matter who's sitting back there.
Right. And I remember playing with teammates in Atlanta, 2 of the best friends, pitcher and catcher. And finally, the pitcher one day went out there and said, look, I'm struggling enough trying to beat the other team. I don't need to beat you also. Hey, work with me. Try and help me.
2-2 to Valentine. Jose, a pretty tough out here to begin the 8th inning. Stottlemyre looks for strikeout number 13, which would be 2 away from matching his career high, and out number 16 in a row. He'll get the 16 part as Jordan comes on to take care of Valentine. 16 in a row retired by Stottlemyre. 1 out, nobody on, with Matheny coming up.
Stottlemyre making this last pitch after a pretty good battle. Sometimes you see that pop-up going up and you go, all right, I know it's caught. I know it's coming down in somebody's glove. Unless we're in Pittsburgh.
See, come on.
But, you know, I was going to make the point, too, though. Sometimes your teammates, you handle yourself as a professional like Stottlemyre, and you have that misplay behind you, and all of a sudden you don't see an immature expression, or you see your, you know, Stottlemyre handle it in a professional manner and say, hey, look it, I know you guys misconnected out there, but don't worry about it. I'm not mad at you. Your teammate's going to come back and they're going to do an awful lot to help you win your next game.
Ball and 2 strikes. This is as in control as I have seen Todd Stottlemyre since he came to the Cardinals, and this is his 3rd season.
Has tendency, and he's much better than early in his career of letting his emotions get the best of him. But you're right, it seemed like all season long he's been so much more focused, and this is the very best.
And a lot of people think that after undergoing that problem with his shoulder last year with a tendonitis that shut him down at the end of the year, that he went through an off-season shoulder strengthening program, which has made him a better pitcher. And you see the effects and the results of that on Stottlemyre, and you wonder what it would be like for a guy like Morris, and maybe in years to come Morris will have to dip into something like that, and Alan Bennis and some of these younger guys. That veteran presence can rub off in that way. 3-2 now on Matheny.
That pitch earlier was a strike. Well, you talk to McGwire, and he'll tell you during that period of time where he was injured and really wondered if his career was over, or does he want to, you know, end it instead of going through all the hard work.
There's strikeout number 13, and 17 straight retired by Stottlemyre.
Sometimes when your career is in jeopardy, you really realize how much it means to you and how you're going to really take good care of yourself the rest of the way through and make sure you can last as long as possible. Look at the bottom fall out of that pitch. Todd's 13th strikeout, and he just gets rid of one hitter and goes right after the next.
Here's Hamlin. He takes a strike.
You know, Hamlin, who came into this game with an .095 batting average, he in the pitcher's spot, 8th and 9th, the only 2 spots that have not recorded a strikeout.
Carl, while he was in there, dropped down a bunt, grounded out. Hamlin is singled and grounded out. There's that good breaking pitch, but it's low, 2-1. With Eric Owens, the number 9 hitter, on deck. Broken bat, ground ball to DeShields. 18 in a row retired by Stottlemyre, and that bat is in 2 pieces laying out in the infield. There's the dangerous part. 6-0 Cardinals after 7.5. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Southwestern Bell. Go wireless with someone you know. And by Southwest Airlines. With fares so low, you have the freedom to go places. Fly Southwest. We have Dave Anderson on camera so much, he has to become a member of AFTRA and SAG. One of the best cameramen in the business. Camera people, to be politically correct, and I know I speak for Tom and Tom and everybody in the truck on a night-to-night basis. Al Broughton, are blessed with one of the best crews in baseball here in St. Louis. Here's a little flare off the bat of Gant, and a 3-hit night for Ron Gant. He's homered, tripled, singled. Only a double away from the triple, but I should say the cycle, but, well, don't think he's going to get another at bat. Following the game, Fox Sports News, an update on Chris Pronger. Stars and Oilers highlights, and a preview of Game 3, which comes your way tomorrow night right here. The Blues and the Red Wings. How could they do such an injustice to McGwire? He's bigger than that.
I thought it was you until I saw the red hair.
Yeah, okay. Pagnozzi takes a pitch low. Great artwork out there.
Very.
Bags is looking for his 3rd hit of the year. He's 2 out of 11. Walked his last time up. And he's up on the count here, 2-0.
So even without a hit tonight, I think Tom is physically sound. And I mean, because he hadn't had any playing time, he's going to have to be stiff tomorrow. But he's earned another spot back there quite quickly because of his pitch selection.
2 balls and a strike now on Pagnozzi. With the Shields next and then the pitcher spot, and I believe they're going to lift Stottlemyre for a pinch hitter, obviously not because any other reason than to get the bullpen some work here after that 2-day layoff in New York. Brantley on your left, Acevedo on your right. Hard hit, but right at the left fielder. Owens, he missed it. All the way to the wall. Gant will head for 3rd, might score. They will bring him around to the plate. The throw home on the relay is too late. It's 7-0 St. Louis.
Eric Owens was fighting the lights. Ball never got above the lights. He really lost it, and it's really a hopeless feeling. You feel so helpless as that ball, and you're blinded. You kind of hold the glove out where you hope it is going to land. Never got above the light standards. Misses it, gets by.
And they've ruled it an error.
Well, I think properly so,
yeah.
But it was hit well.
It was hit well, and as it trickled to the wall, Gant, who started at first base, came all the way around, and here's the play at the plate.
The only thing you wish and hope is that Ronnie doesn't get hurt right there. Nice slide, feet first around the outstretched leg, trying to block his approach to the base.
So Gant's down there all smiles, and he should be. He's homered, tripled, singled, scored twice. Great to have him hitting that way, and in successive at-bats, he dropped the bat head on a pitch that was down and hit it off the stadium club and left. And then his next time up, he tripled into right. Nice to see him going to left once, the opposite way the next. There's ball 4-2 to Lino. And John Mabry gets an at-bat, pinch hitting for Stottlemyre. So Stottlemyre will finish the night having retired the final 18 hitters that he faced. The Brewers haven't had a base runner since Hamlin led off the 3rd inning with a single. Stottlemyre strikes out 13, allows no runs on 2 hits, walked none. And he is on his way to win number 4. Mabry takes a strike, and now he says, I see what you guys were talking about all night. Strike 2. The numbers for Mabry. It's been pretty good off the bench the last couple of weeks for Tony La Russa. Highlighted by that pinch hit home run, a 2-run shot at Wrigley last Sunday. Into left center field, a little floater. Eric Owens is there for the first out of the inning. That time Owens made a good play. It's the first out here in the 8th. And back to the top of the lineup.
They're saying, hey, if I see the ball, I can catch it.
Including base hits here tonight, Todd Stottlemyre allowed only 7 balls to leave the infield. 13 of them went down via the strikeout. No free passes tonight. Stottlemyre was as good as you could be, and as good as we've seen him as a Cardinal. He was great.
Well, so often you say the tempo of a game is started and set by your starting pitcher. Stottlemyre told everyone, I want this one. I'm ready. Just jump on my coattails and I'll take you for a ride.
Exactly what the Cardinals needed from their staff ace. He pitched like a world beater here tonight. That's strike 2 on Clayton, who's at least chased that one. And Royce, who was 1 for 4, tries to fatten up on the RBI total, which is sitting at 12.
There's a situation where he really leaves himself absolutely no chance of hitting that ball. And not exactly the type of swing that you'd want from your leadoff man.
The 0-2. Mike Matheny ought to have a long career in the big leagues. Guys who can catch and are solid behind the plate usually hang around for a long time. The Brewers have a guy now that does all that and hits. But Matheny, along with the rest of his teammates tonight, well, just about everybody hitless with the exception of Hamlin and Burnitz. Each has 1 hit. That's all. The 1-2 to Clayton. 2-2.
It's so funny how it seemed like used to always be able to have good catch, throw kind of guys, but very few very offensive catchers. And then it seemed like they went through a period of time where you couldn't even find guys that could catch and throw. Forget about the hitting. Now I think there's a lot of good receivers.
Still 2-2 on Clayton. You get a great hitter, one of the best hitters in baseball, and Mike Piazza with the Dodgers. Same for Pudge Rodriguez over in the American League with Texas. And then there really are a lot of guys that can handle the duties behind the plate and work over some pitchers as well.
I think Charles Johnson's really going to develop into a fine offensive player.
Clayton strikes out for the second out of the inning. That'll bring in Ray Lankford. Ivan Rodriguez with Texas is hitting .392 a month and a half into the season. Hal Morris with Kansas City leads the way. .395 for Hal Morris, who was offered just about to everybody while with Cincinnati. 2 on, 2 out. Lankford could have an enormous night. Strike 1.
Pudge Rodriguez played winter ball this year. Signed a huge contract. They kind of told him he wouldn't, but they never put a clause as they had in his previous contract saying that he could not play winter ball. So he signs the contract and then says, well, I'm going to go play winter ball then.
That did not sit well, but how can they quarrel with what he's doing here at the start of the season? 2 on, 2 out. Lankford tonight, first time in the number 2 spot, has doubled, flied out, hit a 2-run homer, doubled and scored. Strike 2.
You know what would make this crowd real happy?
What's that?
Ray, get another base hit here and bring up McGwire for another shot.
Cardinals lead 7-0. They'll have a new pitcher in the 9th inning, either Brantley or Acevedo. Now Painter is loosening up. It'll likely be Brantley. The 0-2. Reyes blew it by him, and the inning is over. 1 unearned run scored in the inning, and we are through 8. All St. Louis tonight against Milwaukee, leading by 7. Here's our Discover Card payback playback, and we take you back to the 2-homer inning. Ron Gant, the second of 2 home runs. In the 4th, Jordan got one with 1 out, and this one off the bat of Gant. A mere 464 feet off the glass in front of the Stadium Club. That put the Cardinals out in front 2-0, and now the way the Brewers have hit tonight against Stottlemyre, and you see the scoring done by some fan down below. Keeps score very neatly. She had to keep my score.
I was thinking the same thing.
All those strikeouts, Stottlemyre, that's about all he'd need. Stottlemyre ends up striking out 13, retiring 18 in a row to end his night through 8. No runs, 2 hits. There are 2 guys the Cardinals can't wait to get back, and they're going to have to wait. For Alan Bennis on the left, they'll have to wait not as long for Matt Morris on the right. Cardinals lead 7-0, and they turn to Jeff Brantley. And it was obvious that they want to get Brantley some work here tonight.
Yeah, Jeff really needs to work. He hasn't tossed a ball in better than a week. So you give him an opportunity to come out here and get a little work in, keep himself sharp. But you brought up a very good point, Joe. It's a little bit of a risk unless you feel comfortable bringing him back tomorrow night if needed.
The one thing the Cardinals do have is kind of a closer A and a closer B. The other closer is Acevedo. And I think if the situation presented itself tomorrow night, you would either see Brantley or Acevedo in the late innings. This is Eric Owens, first at bat of the night. Former Cincinnati Red is hitting .214. A homer, 4 RBIs, and he took strike 3 from Brantley, who rings it up, and that's a nice way to start the 9th inning.
Well, the 14th Brewer to go down by strikes tonight. Eric Owens, who came in as part of a double switch, hasn't really had a real good evening, has he?
Not at all. He misplayed a ball in left field, although it was because of the lights are not picking up the ball well, and now he strikes out looking. Here's the first to Vina. That's a strike over the outside corner. Fernando is 0 for 3 tonight. And to gauge the kind of night these Brewer hitters are having, you can't look at hits. You look at how few strikeouts. Vina struck out only once. Loretta struck out twice. Burnitz twice. Grissom 3 times, their cleanup hitter. Jenkins twice. Valentin once. Matheny twice.
A love fest going on down there. Country Day alumni or something. Yeah.
Here's the 0-2 to Vina. Good pitch from Brantley in on his hands. First 2 in the 9th inning are gone. And I'm a risk taker, but I'm going to punch up win number 18 for the Cardinals here tonight.
Oh, God on the limb. You know, this is another thing that when you're trying to get a closer an inning of work and you're saying, hey, I know you need to get an inning to make you sharper next time out, you say, please go 1, 2, 3. Don't go and have a real bad outing or something where I can't bring you back or even think about it tomorrow because you threw so many pitches.
Loretta takes a fastball high. Nice to see Jeff Brantley hitting 90 miles per hour. That last one 89. Pitch before at 90 miles an hour. His velocity is getting a little better as we go along here. The 1-0 to Loretta. To the left side, Clayton circles and kicks it. Well, that won't help. It looked like a 1-2-3 inning for Brantley. Clayton's having a rough go the last couple weeks.
Well, Tony has been concerned a little bit with him getting a little nonchalant, and some of the little actions is not always showing up. But that is something you really want to stay focused. Look that ball right into the glove. We've seen this a couple times. Was it in Pittsburgh where he's circling around the ball, but they misconnects.
So 1 on, 2 out, and here's Burnitz, who could take the shutout away in a blink. But the error really isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but it goes back to what you were saying with Brantley.
Apparently they took the Brewers' error off the board and giving Pagnazzi a base hit.
0-2-0 now. There's the ground ball to second. DeShields hangs with it. This one is over. The Cardinals start this 8-game homestand the way they needed to. Great pitching from Stottlemyre and Brantley, and now the bats finally came alive.
Well, we knew it was a matter of time, but more importantly, what a complete ball game where you had a good pitch game and exciting offense.
The headlines tomorrow will talk about Stottlemyre. 8 innings. No runs, 2 hits. He struck out 13 and retired the final 18 Brewer hitters that he faced. And offensively, the Cardinals banged out 3 home runs. 1 from Jordan, 1 from Gant, and a 2-run home run from Ray Lankford. Nice to see Ray pop one, his second of the season. Our next TV game on Fox Sports Midwest will be on Wednesday night at 6:30. We're on the air. Cardinals and Braves. Cardinals tonight, 6 o'clock, before that ball game with Atlanta. Cardinal Baseball is an exclusive presentation of Fox Sports Midwest in association with Bud Sports. For Al Raboski, Bob Ramsey, this is Joe Buck. Folks, stay tuned. After the Cardinal victory, Fox Sports News Primetime is next.